Hello, friends from the comic world. My name is Hector,
And my name is G.
and we're here to talk to you about the collected editions graphic novels that are coming out on April 2024. G and I work for Penguin Random House. We manage sales into the direct market around the world. So titles that you will see in this video are from publishers that we represented to those markets. Also note that sometimes there are delays and titles are pushed back. So you might see a couple of titles here and there that we talked about or we showed on previous videos. We're also on social media, so make sure to check us out on Instagram, X, Twitter, Facebook, and of course YouTube at PRH International Comics. And I think that's it, right? Without
Mhm.
further ado. Oh, let's tell you how this works. G and I will talk about a couple of picks, titles that we're excited about, and we wanted to make sure you don't miss. Then we'll show you we'll highlight a few other titles from the month of April that also you need to check out. And then we'll leave you with the rest of the list so you can see all the other titles that are going on sale April 2024 by PRH. All right. So now we're ready. Let's get started.
And the first pick is actually mine. This is Blood City Rollers. This is by Veronica Park Anderson and illustrated by Tatiana Hill. We'll have this coming out in both hardcover and trade paperback. This one is about ice skater Mina, who is on this track toward Olympic gold and glory. But then she gets wiped out during her biggest competition and just kind of gets kidnapped by the undead kids on roller skates. Which is like, what? And then sucked into this high stakes world of paranormal roller derby, where she is recruited by a squad of vampires who need a human player to compete on their team. And just in time because they need to save their league. And so she's like, okay, I guess I'll do this. So between learning how to play derby, because ice skating is I there's both feet coordination that needs to happen here, but there needs to be like a learning curve that needs to be done here. So while learning how to play that, and trying hard not to fall for the dreamy team captain, but navigating the spooky rules of the supernatural, can Mina do this? Can she do this? Will she be able to do this with the new team of like friends that she has now acquired? And can she be the best? Will she be enough to help her friends to survive this season? It's a really, I love the premise of this so much. This is really
Yeah.
cool, so interesting. Had to be my pick for the month of April. So.
I love that this is combining two of my favorite things from growing up in the 80s with roller derby and teenage rebel vampire kids. So it's like
Yes.
Lost Boys, but I guess the Lost Girls, but on roller derby. It's amazing. So cool.
Mhm. Very cool.
Yes. Next is one of my picks. This is In Perpetuity by Peter and Maria Hoey, a team of siblings that the writer illustrators are a team of siblings that they create they do movies together. But they have also started doing some graphic novels together, and this is the third one that they're doing with Top Shelf. This one has an amazing premise. I love this one. It's the afterlife. It's just like the ancient Greeks imagine in this world, and then the endless twilight, time stands still in perpetuity, and Shays have nowhere to go. And for me, Jim, that means long shifts at a gas station and only crossword puzzles and cigarettes to break from the tedium. But one day, two criminals from Jim's past come to collect the debt. They tracked him down for something he didn't even know he had. He has the ability to cross back to the living world, and it is a rare gift, and they intend to exploit it. And during Jen's first crossing back to sunny California, he meets Olivia, who's dying on an Epoch Park sidewalk. and pulling her back from the edge of death, he strikes a connection and will that will run deeper than either of them can imagine. And of course, there's a lot of back and forth with the criminals, and he starts going back between LA and AL, the afterlife, which I love how they made that connection. Is awesome. And it's a very cool concept. It promises a very sort of noir film noir look to it, and it's a story. It's very Pulp Fiction-y. So I really love those kinds of story, and then with this twist about going back with and forth between the afterlife and this world, it reminds me a lot of some of the plots in the Supernatural TV show, which I'm such a big fan of. So looking forward to this one. I think this one is something that people who love, especially that kind of supranational fantasy world, but at the same time, like love all these pulp fictiony type stories. Combined, that's going to be amazing, and it's very cool. So awesome.
Next up, we have City Boy by Greg Pak. I got to meet Greg Pak at Comic
Yeah,
Con.
me too.
Very, very nice. I
Very
actually got
cool.
my single issue signed of City Boy, #1.
Hmm.
We have this new Korean hero named City Boy. The concept, they literally took the concept of the heart of a city, the city as like a living, breathing sort of entity, and sort of use that as like a power set for this superhero, where basically Kim, the protagonist, and the superhero of our story here, his powers is basically like being in tune with the city, and like how do I describe it? It's like hard to describe in the sense where like he uses his powers not really for good in the beginning, where, like, he only really does it to survive. Like, he's able to
Yeah.
use his powers to, like, find objects or, like, useful hidden, like, things that he can pawn it off to get money for, and he gets embroiled because of, like, his abilities sort of leak out, and he gets embroiled into this like criminal underworld situation, people wanting to exploit his powers, to be like in that way. And you follow that story as he's trying to like he's just like thrown into this world. And we have Greg Pak on writing, and we have Chung Minkyu on illustrations, and this covers issues #1 to 6 of the single issues into this collected volume. And this is obviously part of the We Are Legends line of comics, and we have other trade paperback collections from that line that you should also take a look at as well, like Vigil
Yeah.
and Spirit World and
Spirit
such.
World.
Yeah.
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 I also want to mention for this one, I love it's very well within the DC continuity in universe, and I love that is the each city has its own personality
Yeah.
and look. So when he goes to Metropolis and Central City and Gotham, obviously it's very different. The cities have very different personalities, of course, because they do, but in
Mhm.
a more and he always has this little sort of, I guess, a little avatar of each
Like a
city
herald
that
in a way.
a
Yeah, yeah.
herald, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that shows up, which is also a very cool concept. It's all the mythology behind this to that Greg Pak created is so amazing. I really
So
love it.
interesting. It's such an
Yeah,
interesting way to look at a power set like this
yeah,
character. Yeah.
yes. Awesome. Next is Puzzled, a memoir about growing up with OCD by Pam Cook, illustrated and written by Pam Cook. Now, I this is very cool. This is going to be out in trade paperback and in hardcover both at the same time. By the way, this is even though this is written for ages 10 and up, I think this is something that everyone could enjoy. There's a few pages out there on Edelweiss and other places where you can find it. And it is Pencook. If you don't know, he is obviously a creator, illustrator, um, but he's also called himself, he's a, I'm looking for the word, cartoonist. So he's sort of an activist with his cartoons. And if you go to his Instagram, you can see how he illustrates, he takes stories with a lot of social impact, and he recreates them in illustrations, and he does a few panels, and I highly recommend you check him out. There's going to be a lot of these stories that are going to make you very angry and make you think, but it's something that is needed. In this case, in Puzzled, he draws from his own experience growing up with OCD, and how he he felt always the anxiety. And I love that the puzzle comes from him describing, and there's some panels on the pages that are available where he sees everything that he has to do. Like at night, he would think about everything that he has to do the next day as puzzles. So, like, what if I didn't say it right the first time for something that he has to do in school? What if I wasn't concentrating and missed a word? What if it wasn't perfect? And all of that, places in mind, and he gets obsessed with it. He also does other descriptions, like, I love this panel where he's like, I pray until the words don't make sense anymore. Then their meaning falls away with the redemption, and underneath all that's left is the puzzle. And you see the words and the puzzle sort of floating around him, and he illustrated so beautifully and so well. He also talks about like leaves blowing on a fall day. They pass me by, then disappear into the distance. But recently it's different. They don't just pass me by anymore. They stick to me, and the more I try to push them away, the more they pile up until eventually. So it really, he illustrated literally, but also explained in such a way the mindset of a person living with OCD and with anxiety. And I'm always I love when people who are living with these conditions are able to express themselves with something more than just saying what they feel, but also illustrate and write about it. That's why I love John Green and all the turtles all the way down, because it talks about that and his situations with anxiety and depression and all that, and from his personal life. So uh, I think it's an important book. I think, obviously, like I said, it's for 10 and up, and it's written in a way that 10-year-olds and up can understand. But I also found it very useful to understand a condition that I really don't know a lot about. And just for a few pages, I was able to understand a whole lot more. So I'm looking forward to reading the whole thing.
All right, next up we have Monkey King and the World of Myths, the Monsters, and the Maze. This long forgotten evil has now reemerged, threatening to transform anything in its path, like humans, beasts, gods alike, into monsters. But there is only one hero that can save the day, and that is AKA we have Monkey King here. And so Monkey King, all he has to do is like battle these monsters, defeat evil, and basically save the world. So no big deal,
Yeah.
right? What could possibly go wrong? And so what's interesting about this is that he actually journeys through Greece, where he has to figure out how to escape the underworld alive. So like you'll often see like Greek mythology sort of sprinkled out as we have the Monkey King like navigating through that. So like um he has to find his way through this labyrinth of like mazes and like to go on this to get through this journey, comes face to face with like a minotaur, like a three-headed dog, and is the question of does he have what it takes to like slay the ultimate like the monster to save the world, or will Monkey King story end with a Greek tragedy? So it's such an interesting way to sort of like merge mythologies together in the lens of Monkey King himself. So this is really cool. This will be coming out in hardcover and also in trade paperback as well. So
Yeah, very cool. Love
mhm.
the tongue sticking out.
Yeah.
Look, that's amazing. All right, and next up is The Horror, written by Lars Jacobson and art by Eduardo Francisco. This is a prequel to In the Heart of Darkness. Yes, the In the Heart of Darkness, the novel by Joseph Conrad, the classic. It takes you into the story of what Lars Jacobson, this German writer, by the way, who takes the character of Kurtz from In the Heart of Darkness, a character that is they mention throughout the whole novel, but you don't really actually, he doesn't really physically come into the action until the third act, and then he's gone. So there's a lot of mystery around that character, and it's such an important character. So what Lars Dickinson did, he sort of decided, okay, let's see what it would have been for him to go to Africa on the mission for King Leopold and to the Congo, and build a station that he manages, but his journey through there to the most difficult parts of the Congo and the horrors that he saw. And there's a twist in this story. He does put a little bit, Lars Jacobson put sort of a supernatural twist, and he talks about the horror, and the locals speak of an insidious evil in fearful whispers, calling it the horror. And of course, the horror, famously, for those of you who know, In the Heart of the Darkness, are the last words that Kurtz say before he dies. And there's a lot of, it's one of those lines that there's a lot of speculation of what the meaning was, what Joseph Conrad meant by those words, and what was the real horror. So he takes Lars Jacobson takes that and turns it into actual, like, supernatural horror, which I think is very interesting. Also, the art on this is by Eduardo Francisco, who is amazing. You need to check out his other art in other graphic novels and comics, and his Instagram. And this is very beautiful. As you can see, it's very detailed, and the whole book is like the cover, where it's black and white with highlights of red in some parts, and it gives it such a, again, horrific feel to it. And there are some pages available on Edelweiss and other places that you can take a look at. So very much looking forward to this one for sure.
Okay, I'll go ahead and get started on the highlights. And first up, we have 100 Bullets, book one by Brian Azzarello. And we have the new edition of the Absolute Justice League, the world's greatest superheroes by Alex Ross and Paul Dini. Avengers Inc. by Al Ewing. This is action, mystery, adventure. And we have the really cool by Nicole Maines, who I believe was at New York Comic Con last year. No, San Diego Comic Con. I don't remember. I'm getting my
No,
cons
it
mixed
wasn't New
up.
York because I don't
It's
remember
got
her
to
in New
be
York.
San
Yeah,
Diego then.
yeah, yeah.
Bad Dream, A Dreamer's Story. And then we have by Katana Collins, Batman White Knight Presents Generation Joker.
All right, and then we have Black Panther T'Challa, Declassified by Maurice Rod. Sorry, let me put my glasses on. By Maurice Brothers and Marvel Comics. And then Blood Syndicate Season 1 by Geoffrey Thorne. Booster Gold, the complete 2007 series, Book 1 by Jeff Jones. Carnage Volume 1, Born Again by Ram V. And Critical Role, The Mighty Nine Origins, Beauregard Leonette, written by May Cat with Marisa Ray and Matthew Mercer of Critical Role.
All right, continuing on, we have Daredevil by Saladin Ahmed. This is volume one, Hell Breaks Loose. This is following after the Chip Zdarsky run. We
Mhm.
have Dark Spaces. So Dark Spaces, which initially started out with Scott Snyder, and continuing on with the theme of like the claustrophobia, or right, yeah, claustrophobic
Yeah.
spaces. We have this new iteration story by Chi Grayson and Kelsey Ramsey. And then we have Filthy Ratbag. What a title. I love the cover as well.
As one
This
word
is
too.
as one word. This is by Celeste Mouthjoy. Mountjoy. And then from the world of minor threats, the alternates. This is written by Patton Oswalt, Jordan Bloom, and Tim Seeley, part of the that world, the minor threats world here. And then we have Give Me Space, but don't go far. I I love how anxiety is represented as like like a ball,
Like a blob. Yeah.
a blob with eyeballs.
Yeah.
And this is by Haley Weaver.
Yes. And we continue with Godzilla, Here There Be Dragons by Frank Thierry. I love it. Godzilla is having a moment, so definitely check this one out. Map Makers and the Flickering Fortress by Cameron Chittock and Amanda Castillo. And then we have Marvel Masterworks, The Incredible Hulk Volume 1 by Stan Lee, obviously. Meaning Marvel's Spidey Sense by Chris Giarrusso. And Miss Marvel by Saladin Ahmed. Saladin Ahmed, obviously, writing on this.
Right, continuing on, we have Panya, the Mummy's Curse. This is like by the story by Mike Mignola. So it's of course it's not just Panya, so you definitely want to check out some of the other titles in the world, in
Of
this
Hellboy.
world.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we also have Chris Robertson here. We have a collaboration with 20th Century Studios. We have Predator versus Wolverine by Benjamin Percy. This is really cool. Punk Rock Karaoke
Yeah.
by Bianca. I'm probably
Yeah,
gonna
I'm not
butcher
gonna
the last
try
name
either.
there. And then we have Dan Slott's Spider Boy Volume 1, The Webless Wonder. And then anticipated for fans, especially for fans of who got the Volume 1, we have the Volume 2 Spider-Man 2099 Omnibus by Peter David.
Yeah. And we continue with Spider-Man India by Ziva. This is collecting the miniseries that came out last year. Spirit World, which we mentioned, part of the We Are All Legends. But this one is by Elisa Wong. Big fan of the book, big fan of Elisa. Star Trek, or Star Wars, sorry. God, I can't believe I made that mistake.
You made
Star Wars, I know me.
revoke your card
I know,
to
yeah,
the
I'm not
club.
going to be a fan anymore. Star Wars by Gilling and Pack, which we just mentioned, Pack earlier. This is Omnibus. And then we have Tear Us Apart by Van Jensen and Jay Baruchel, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Stranger Things by Cameron Chittock and Pharaoh Pay.
All right, we're finishing up here for highlights with The Flash by Joshua Williamson Omnibus Volume 1, which I want to pick up.
Yes.
The Last Comics on Earth, Too Many Villains by Max Brailer and Joshua Pruitt. And then, of course, with We Are Legends, we have The Vigil by Ram V. And then again, the world of Hellboy with Mike Mignola. So I said Panya, but then we also have the Witchfinder Omnibus Volume 1, so definitely check that one out too. And then we have Zatanna by Paul Dini, the new edition here as well. So
Yeah. And it's the end of the highlights for the month of April. We're going to leave you with the rest of the list. Like I mentioned before, remember to check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X under at PRH International Comics, and on YouTube also, obviously. We'll leave links to all our socials in the description of the video. Thank you so much for watching these. We hope they're useful to you. And remember, we have way more videos in our channel. Check them all out, comment, subscribe to all that fun stuff. So thank you. Take care. Bye.
hi everyone.